When you think of Napoleon, you probably picture the general on a white horse, hand tucked in his coat, the absolute master of the battlefield. But that image, it only tells you about half the story. His real conquest, the one that truly changed the world, wasn't fought with cannons and cavalry.
So how on earth did he do it? How did this kid from a backwater island rise up to command a continent? Well, to figure that out, we have to look past the smoke and glory of the battlefield and go inside his head. We're going to explore the unique mental operating system that powered one of the most incredible figures in history.
So how was his brain wired for victory? Where do we even start? Well, believe it or not, it all begins with something we all do every day: sleeping. But for Napoleon, even rest was a weapon of war.
Okay, so there's this huge myth out there that Napoleon was some kind of superhuman who only needed like 4 hours of sleep a night. But the people who were actually around him, like his private secretaries, they tell a totally different story. In times of peace, the emperor slept a very normal, very healthy 7 hours.
So his true genius wasn't about avoiding sleep, it was about commanding it. He could strategically rest whenever he needed to, giving him this massive cognitive edge while his rivals were just completely exhausted. And he did this using a technique we now call polyphasic sleep.
I mean, think about this for a second. He's in the middle of a massive campaign, surrounded by noise, stress, chaos, and he could just shut down and effectively reboot his brain in 20 minutes. This let him filter out all the noise and save his mental energy for the decisions that actually mattered. It was a skill that just baffled everyone around him.
And when you put his habits up against other famous geniuses, you really see how unique his method was. Da Vinci used a similar pattern for creativity, right? And Einstein needed those long 10-hour stretches for deep thinking. But Napoleon's sleep was perfectly optimized for one thing: command and control in a high-stakes, high-stress environment.
And this quote, this just perfectly captures his second mental superpower. He famously said his mind was like a chest of drawers. And this wasn't just some clever line. It was literally how he managed to stay so focused and productive.
This mental filing system, this compartmentalization, let him give 100% of his attention to whatever was in front of him. He could spend hours deep in military strategy, then just close that drawer and immediately switch to drafting legal codes or managing the empire's finances, all without the different subjects bleeding into each other. He basically turned his mind into a living supercomputer.
So having a powerful mind is one thing, but how did he actually apply this mental architecture to the messy, real world of running an army and an empire? Well, this is where you can start to see him as the CEO of the biggest, most complicated project of the 19th century.
His success was no accident. It was built on 6 core principles, and they are so timeless that they're still taught in business schools today. His grand army wasn't just an army. It was run with the precision of a modern corporation, all guided by these 6 rules.
All right, let's talk about speed. His army could march up to 30 miles in a single day. That's way faster than any of his rivals. But that number, as impressive as it is, it really doesn't tell the whole story. Its true purpose was psychological.
You see, by showing up where no one expected him, faster than anyone thought was humanly possible, Napoleon created this aura of invincibility. He caused confusion and panic in the enemy's headquarters, often winning the psychological game long before a single shot was ever fired.
And he wasn't a micromanager either. He gave his commanders clear goals but trusted them to make the calls on the ground. This flexibility, combined with his incredible charisma, was just a killer combination. He led from the front, he remembered his soldiers' names, and he understood that an army's spirit, its moral force, was its most powerful weapon.
But what was the fuel for this whole machine? What was the psychological engine that drove this man? Well, like it so often does, the answer is in his past, and in his identity as a total outsider. See, Napoleon wasn't born into French high society. He was from Corsica, a rugged little island that had just become part of France. When he went to military school, the rich, aristocratic kids made fun of his accent, his family, everything. So what did he do? He retreated into his studies, where he could prove he was better than all of them through sheer intellect and hard work. And underneath that calculating, strategic mind was a man of intense, almost violent passion. His early letters to his wife Josephine are just shockingly raw and vulnerable. They show this desperate need for love and a deep insecurity that you would never guess from his public image. This relationship was a total paradox. That early passion was real, no doubt,
But after he found out she was unfaithful, his love twisted into a tool for control. He tried to dominate her in the same way he tried to dominate Europe, and it reveals this man who was driven by both a deep need for love and a ruthless desire for power.
Now, in the end, his empire fell apart, but the systems he designed, the code he wrote for what a modern country should look like, that was so powerful that it outlasted him, and it still shapes our world today. It's one of the greatest what-ifs in all of history, right? A couple of different decisions, maybe the weather changes slightly, and the battle could have gone the other way. So what would our world look like if it had?
I mean, just look at this comparison. It really shows you the massive stakes of that one single day. A Napoleonic victory might have led to a unified Europe under French leadership and maybe, just maybe, prevented the world wars of the 20th century. But it also would have likely stamped out the spread of parliamentary democracy in favor of his more authoritarian style.
And this is really the key takeaway here. Napoleon the Conqueror, he ultimately failed. His empire crumbled. But Napoleon the system builder, the modernizer, he succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. The Napoleonic Code is still the basis of law in dozens of countries. The systems he set up for administration and education are still influential right now.
And that's his ultimate legacy, isn't it? It's not the land he conquered, but the ideas he built. His story really makes you ask, what's more powerful in the long run? An army that takes territory, or an idea that completely reorganizes the world?